15,
Igniters
14, 13,
Trophy ignition.
12, 11, 10, 9, 8,
Seven,
7,
six,
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, plus 1.
Liftoff.
Liftoff of the first flight of the Delta IV Heavy rocket,
5,
launching a year in partnership in
7,
space access
8,
between the United States Air Force and Boeing.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Plus 30. Personnel report to Loop 4 for post-liftoff security. Plus 55. Plus 1 minute.
T-minus 10,
9, 8, 7, 6, 5. We have ignition of the main engines. We have liftoff. Liftoff of a United Launch Alliance Delta IV Heavy rocket carrying DSP-23, the final DSP missile warning satellite for the United States Air Force.
T plus 37 seconds.
We are listening to Steve Agate in the telemetry lab calling out the flight data in real time.
Standing by to tunnel down to partial thrust mode in the core booster. Now at partial thrust in the core booster. Full thrust on the port and the starboard boosters. All looking well.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5. We have ignition of the main engines.
2, 1, 0.
We have liftoff.
Engine cooling water activated.
3,
Liftoff of United
4,
Launch Alliance Delta
5.
IV Heavy rocket carrying the nrol 26 mission for the National Reconnaissance Office.
Chief. Full power level on the port core and starboard boosters. Right where we want them to be. T plus 36 seconds. Still going good.
We are listening to Steve Agate in the telemetry lab calling out
Good
the
chamber
flight
pressures
data
holding.
in real time.
Good nozzle steering.
Minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
T-minus 15,
Igniters
14, 13,
Trophy
12,
ignition.
11, 10,
T-minus 10,
9,
9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
4, 3,
We have ignition of the main engines.
1, 0.
We
Plus
have
1,
liftoff.
plus 2.
Liftoff of the United Launch Alliance
water
Delta
activated.
IV Heavy rocket carrying the nrol 49 mission for the National Reconnaissance Office. This marks the first West Coast Delta IV Heavy launch.
Okay, we're going to pick up post-lift securing net 15.
recovering nicely from the initial launch transients.
15.
Igniters armed.
Rofi ignition.
This is Delta Mission Control at T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. And the RS-68A engines roar to life and liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Delta IV Heavy, carrying the NRO L-15 mission for the National Reconnaissance Office. NRO systems continue to ensure vigilance from above.
Good chamber pressure and holding. 20 seconds in.
You're hearing the voice of Steve Agate providing launch vehicle ascent data. Let's listen in.
3 boosters standing by to go to the partial thrust mode in 4. Partial thrust mode now in the 4 booster as expected. Still looking good, passing 44 seconds into the flight. Altitude 1.8 nautical miles. Velocity 14,072 feet per second. Downrange distance a little less than a half a nautical mile. Coming up on the 1 minute mark. 1 minute into the flight. Still looking good. Good chamber pressure in the port to starboard boosters in the full power mode, and good chamber pressure in the core in the partial thrust mode. Passing 1 minute 12 seconds into the flight. Good engine control. 1 minute 23 seconds, passing Mach 1, vehicle going transonic, also passing Max Q, maximum dynamic pressure on the vehicle. Passing 1 minute 30 seconds. Altitude now passing 7.8 nautical miles. Velocity 22,064 feet per second. Downrange distance 2.2 nautical miles.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. We have ignition of the RS-68 engines. 2, 1, 0. We have liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Delta IV Heavy rocket carrying the NRO L-65 mission for the National Reconnaissance Office.
Full engine is full thrust. 20 seconds into the flight.
You are hearing the voice of Steve Agate providing launch vehicle ascent data.
128 feet per second, downrange distance about 1/10 of a nautical mile.
MEQ, perform post-liftoff
Command
steering.
to go to the partial thrust mode.
Roger.
10.
The igniters have been lit.
9, 8, 7, 6.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And liftoff at dawn. The dawn of Orion and a new era of American space exploration.
Good engine control in the first stage. Passing 25 seconds. Velocity 1,341 feet per second. Passing 31 seconds, still looking good. Good engine control. Good chamber pressure in all 3 boosters in the full power mode. 40 seconds in. Standing by to go to the partial thrust mode in the core. And we have partial thrust command in the core. Core chamber pressure beginning to drop as expected as we're coming up on the 1 minute mark. 1 minute into the flight. Still looking good. Good chamber pressure in the core booster in the partial thrust mode. Good chamber pressure in port and starboard in full power mode. One minute, 15 seconds into the flight. We have the hydrazine supply valve open in the second stage. 1 minute, 22 seconds in. Max Q, maximum dynamic pressure on the vehicle. Passing 124, Mach 1. Orion and Delta IV now transcending the speed of sound. 1 minute, 31 seconds in.
T-minus 10,
9,
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. We have main engine ignition. 2, 1, And liftoff. Liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Delta IV Heavy rocket carrying the nrol 37 mission for the National Reconnaissance Office.
Vehicle now going transonic, just past max Q, maximum dynamic pressure on the vehicle. 1 minute, 30 seconds in. Chamber pressure holding in the port and starboard booster in the full thrust mode, and in the fore booster in the partial thrust mode. Altitude now passing 9.2 nautical miles, velocity 2,533 feet per second, downrange distance 4.96 nautical miles. 1 minute, 49 seconds in. Minus 15.
Roll for ignition.
10, 9,
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff of the mighty Delta IV Heavy rocket with NASA's Parker Solar Probe, a daring mission to shed light on the mysteries of our closest star, the Sun.
Look good in the full thrust mode. "25 seconds into flight. Chamber pressures continue to look good on all three boosters. Now 35 seconds in. Chamber pressure on the core booster is throttling down to the partial thrust mode. Response looks good. Now 50 seconds into flight. Strap-on boosters look good in the full thrust mode. Core booster looks good in the partial thrust mode. Now 1 minute into flight. Vehicle trajectory looking good, right down the middle of the range track. 1 minute, 10 seconds into flight. Up on 1 minute, 19 seconds into flight, max Q, maximum dynamic pressure, and Mach 1, Delta IV is now supersonic. One minute, 30 seconds into flight. Port and starboard booster engines continue to look good in the full thrust mode. Core booster looks good in the partial thrust mode. One minute, 45 seconds into flight. Trajectory continuing to look good right down the middle of the range track.
Roll for ignition.
T-minus 10, 9, 8. We should have ignition. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Delta IV Heavy rocket with nrol 71 for the National Reconnaissance Office.
Vehicles beginning the pitch over maneuver.
You are hearing the voice of Patrick Moore providing launch vehicle ascent data.
Now 20 seconds into flight, seeing good chamber pressure across all three R68A engines. Now 30 seconds into flight. And core boosters beginning to throttle down to the partial thrust mode as expected. Core boosters reach partial thrust. Now 46 seconds into flight. Chamber pressures continue to look good across all three R68 engines. Core booster in partial thrust mode, port and starboard boosters in the full thrust mode. Now coming up on 1 minute into flight. Now passing 1 minute, 10 seconds. All three RS-68A engines continue to look good.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, main engine ignition, 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff. Liftoff, the United Launch Alliance Delta IV Heavy rocket carrying the NROL 44 mission for the National Reconnaissance Office.
All three R68A engines look good in the full thrust mode. Now 15 seconds into flight, vehicles begun the pitch over maneuver. Body rate response is good.
You are hearing the voice of Patrick Moore providing launch vehicle ascent data.
25 seconds into flight, engine operating parameters continue to look good. Body rate responses look good. Now 30 seconds in. Standing by for core booster throttle down momentarily. Core booster has begun throttling down as expected. The partial thrust level engine response looks good. Core booster has achieved partial thrust level as expected. Now 50 seconds into flight. Engine operating parameters continue to look good on all three engines. Now passing 1 minute into flight. Delta IV is now 4.3 miles in altitude, 5.8 miles downrange distance, traveling at 1,200 miles per hour. And at 1 minute, 20 seconds into flight, vehicle is now passing through max Q, maximum dynamic pressure. Vehicle is also passing Mach 1. Delta IV is now supersonic. Engine operating parameters continue to look good on all three boosters. Port and starboard booster in the full thrust mode, core booster in the partial thrust mode. Body rates continue to look stable throughout the boost phase of flight. Telemetry quality has looked good throughout the boost phase. Now passing 1 minute, 46 seconds into flight. Roll for ignition.
10, 9.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 2, 1, and liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Delta IV Heavy rocket carrying the NROL 82 mission for the National Reconnaissance Office.
You on the pitch over maneuver? The parameters look good on all three cores. Core booster is now throttling down to the partial thrust level. Partial thrust achieved.
You are hearing the voice of Rob Kesselman providing launch vehicle ascent data.
Now 50 seconds into flight, vehicle is 3 miles in altitude, 5 miles downrange distance, traveling at 970 miles per hour.
Roll for ignition. 10.
Tester start.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. We have ignition. 2, 1, and liftoff of the last West Coast United Launch Alliance Delta IV Heavy rocket carrying NROL 91 for the National Reconnaissance Office.
Vehicle has now begun the pitch over maneuver. All three RS-68 engines look good at this time. Core booster is now throttling down to the partial thrust level. And that core booster has now reached the desired
voice of Rob
partial
Kesselman
thrust
providing launch vehicle ascent data.
level. Parameters continue to look good.
Vehicle is now 3 miles in altitude, 5 miles downrange distance, traveling at a velocity of 1,000 miles per hour.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. We have ignition. 3, 2, 1. And liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Delta IV Heavy rocket, carrying nrol 68 for the National Reconnaissance Office.
Vehicle has now begun the pitch-over maneuver. Now 25 seconds into flight, vehicle performance looks nominal.
You are hearing the voice of Rob Kennen providing launch vehicle ascent data.
Core booster has now reached the desired partial thrust level. Vehicle performance continues to look good. We are now 5 miles in altitude, 5.8 miles downrange distance.
Roll ignition.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. We have ignition. 2, 1. And liftoff of the final United Launch Alliance Delta IV Heavy rocket, carrying nrol 70 for the National Reconnaissance Office and closing Delta's 6-decade legacy of excellence in space.
Or is at min power level. Port and starboard strap-on still operating at enhanced power level.
You are hearing the voice of Rob Gannon providing launch vehicle ascent data.
Parameters look good. Flight control disturbances look good. And we have fired the isolation pyro valve on second stage reactor control system.